Your roadmap to the latest in auto. Welcome to Highway Herald, where we navigate the skies with the same thrill as the open road. In May 2025, Boeing hit severe turbulence as Ryanair threatened to cancel a $30 billion jet order. With rising tariffs, shaken airline confidence, and mounting global pressure, America's aviation giant now faces a critical turning point, one that could redefine the balance of power in the skies. Buckle up, this is one story you don't want to miss. Ryanair's $30 billion pressure play. On May 1, 2025, the aviation world felt the jolt. Ryanair, Europe's largest low-cost carrier and longtime Boeing partner, threw down the gauntlet. CEO Michael O'Leary didn't mince words. If U.S. tariffs significantly drive up the cost of aircraft, Ryanair might cancel its colossal $30 billion order for 330 Boeing 737 MAX jets. This wasn't empty bravado. O'Leary even floated the possibility of shifting future orders to Chinese manufacturer COMAC. A Boeing loyalist turning to a Chinese rival? That would mark a historic pivot, not just in contracts, but in global aviation alliances. And let's be real, Ryanair's fleet has always been built on lean economics. If tariffs strip away their pricing edge, O'Leary's threat becomes more than plausible. It becomes strategic. The very fact that Boeing's most budget-conscious customer is contemplating a switch underscores how disruptive these trade policies could be. The industry took notice. No cancellations yet, but the shockwave was real. If Ryanair jumps ship, it won't just bruise Boeing's bottom line, it could set a precedent with massive global implications. But Ryanair wasn't the only airline doing the math. Across the globe, others started drawing the same conclusions. A worldwide wake-up call for airlines. Ryanair's announcement didn't just cause boardroom panic in Chicago, it triggered a domino effect across the airline industry, from Istanbul to Sao Paulo to Nairobi. One Turkish airline demanded renegotiated pricing, a Latin American carrier asked to delay payments, and in Africa, a state-run airline abruptly froze talks, citing tariff-induced price instability. Suddenly, Ryanair wasn't an outlier, it was a bellwether. These moves weren't about protest, they were about survival. Airlines operate on razor-thin margins, and rising aircraft prices disrupt financial forecasts years in the making. If the leanest player in the game, Ryanair, can't absorb the blow, others know they're in trouble. Adding more pressure? The lack of viable alternatives? Airbus, Boeing's longtime rival, is overbooked for years. And yet, COMAC, despite lacking European certification and falling short on capacity, found itself in the spotlight. Why? Because desperate times call for bold pivots, and Ryanair's nod to COMAC gave the C919 something it never had before: global relevance. For the first time, executives weren't just comparing brands, they were questioning the very reliability of the Boeing supply chain. If America's aerospace champion can't guarantee pricing or delivery, what's plan B? Before we delve deeper, we'd appreciate it if you could subscribe to Highway Herald. Your support fuels our passion to create more content like this. Now let's follow the turbulence into Boeing's own production line, where the pressure is more than just external. Boeing's global assembly line and breakdown. While Ryanair's bombshell grabbed headlines, Boeing was quietly grappling with a deeper crisis. Its global supply chain was collapsing under tariff pressure. Aerospace manufacturing relies on precision and global coordination, and a 25% import duty on key components sent tremors through Boeing's vast supplier network. Canadian landing gear manufacturers halted shipments. German avionics firms paused exports. In Japan, a critical electronics supplier canceled its contract, citing commercial instability. Each disruption risked derailing entire production lines. Back home, things weren't smoother. At the Dreamliner facility in Charleston, managers began stockpiling parts, fearing supply gaps. Engineers in Wichita raced to find US-made alternatives, but most domestic options couldn't meet Boeing's exacting specs or came with massive cost increases. The situation worsened when China retaliated with rare earth export restrictions, crippling access to materials vital for flight control systems and engines. Delays mounted, costs ballooned. Meanwhile, Airbus weathered the storm with better-prepared sourcing strategies. Customers took note. What started as a political gambit became an operational meltdown. Boeing wasn't just battling market share, it was fighting to keep its factories alive. And just as Boeing struggled to hold ground, a political wave was forming across the Atlantic that would hit even harder. Political blowback and Boeing's growing toll. Trump's aggressive tariff strategy sparked a swift and forceful response from the European Union, and Boeing found itself right in the crosshairs. What started as a U.S. economic maneuver escalated into a global standoff, with civil aircraft, specifically Boeing jets, on the EU's retaliation list for the first time in history. Frustrated by stalled diplomacy, the European Commission proposed tariffs on up to $100 billion in U.S. goods, including aerospace, autos, and agriculture. Boeing now faces a potential 25% surcharge on aircraft sold to European carriers. The hit? Roughly $3 million per plane, wiping out up to $300 million on a typical 100-jet order. European airlines were trapped in a dilemma: absorb the costs, pressure Boeing, or pause orders. Lufthansa hinted at delays. Delta hit pause on its 2026 fleet plans. Meanwhile, Boeing's push for congressional relief fizzled, and the White House only dug in deeper. The fallout spread fast. Suppliers cut jobs, plants reduced shifts. What started as a tariff skirmish quickly turned into a full-blown economic firefight, with Boeing fighting for survival in a war far beyond the runway. And while Boeing battled trade wars and factory slowdowns, a new challenger was preparing for takeoff: COMAC's climb and the shifting flight path. As Boeing scrambled to contain canceled orders and a fractured supply chain, China's COMAC quietly stepped into the spotlight. Once dismissed as a regional outlier, the Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China is now catching the attention of global airlines hunting for cheaper, more politically neutral alternatives. Ryanair's CEO, Michael O'Leary, openly told U.S. lawmakers that if COMAC's C919 could undercut Airbus by 10 to 20%, Ryanair would of course consider the switch. It wasn't just a threat, it was a direct challenge to Boeing's market dominance. For decades, Boeing and Airbus have ruled the skies as an untouchable duopoly. But tariff tensions, delayed deliveries, and shifting loyalties have cracked that stability. COMAC's C919, though smaller than the 737 MAX 10 and still pending European certification, has over 1,000 orders, mostly from Chinese carriers. Barclays analysts believe the longer the tariff war drags on, the more likely COMAC is to break through globally. While concerns over US-made components and espionage persist, the political urge to diversify supply chains is growing. Boeing can no longer afford to overlook COMAC. A three-way race may have just begun. Verdict: Boeing at a crossroads. Can it still rule the skies? Boeing now finds itself at a defining crossroads, not because of engineering missteps, but due to global politics and strategic inertia. Ryanair's $30 billion threat was the spark. The resulting airline backlash, EU retaliation, and emerging rivals turned that spark into a wildfire. And in the smoke, COMAC is ready to rise. This isn't just about jet sales, it's about survival. Can Boeing pivot fast enough to keep its place at the top? Or are we witnessing the slow descent of an American industrial icon? Will Ryanair truly break with Boeing and bet on China's COMAC? Should Boeing have anticipated the risks of trade weaponization? And what would a triopoly mean for the future of global aviation? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're eager to see where our fellow aviation enthusiasts stand on this. Don't forget to subscribe to Highway Herald for more vehicle updates, global aviation shakeups, and everything in between. Thanks for flying with us today. We'll see you in the next video.